Gertrude discovers her credit card has been charged $3,700 for all the family Christmas gifts during their traditional dinner at her parents' home. When confronted, her father casually announces that the family voted she should pay because she doesn't have children. Shaking with anger, she grabs her phone and calmly tells him, "Then you'll love what comes." Next, her father laughs dismissively. The next day, her phone explodes with 37 missed calls, cousins screaming, mother begging, and father pleading with her to stop what she's done. "I always thought I had a good relationship with my family, despite their constant pressure about my childless status." At 32 years old, successful financial advisor at Preston and Holloway, one of the most prestigious firms in the Northeast, my family has always seemed proud of my success, if not my personal choices. Growing up, I was especially close to my dad. William Hanson was my hero, coaching my softball team, teaching me how to change a tire, and later encouraging me to pursue finance because he saw I had a head for numbers. When I bought my first car, he helped me negotiate the price down by almost $2,000. I thought our bond was unbreakable. 3 weeks before Christmas, Mom called with her usual holiday planning. "GG, Gertrude. Honey, your father and I would love to host Christmas at our house this year, with all the little ones running around. It just makes more sense to have everyone here." I agreed immediately. Their colonial home had plenty of room for my 3 siblings and their families. Troy and his wife had 2 boys, Jessica had 3 girls with her husband, and even my younger brother Adam had just welcomed twins with his wife last spring. "I can help with shopping," I offered. "I know how busy you are with the grandkids always visiting." Mom sounded relieved. "That would be wonderful, sweetheart. I'll give you my card when you come over this weekend." That Saturday, I visited their house to plan. Mom handed me a credit card. "This is connected to your father's account." We budgeted $150 per person, including all 15 grandchildren. I spent weekends and evenings over the next 3 weeks carefully selecting gifts. For my nephew Carson, the space enthusiast, I found a telescope. For my niece Abigail, who loves art, I bought a professional drawing tablet. Each gift was thoughtful and personal, even for my siblings and their spouses. I wanted everyone to feel special. Christmas Eve arrived with the usual chaos of my large extended family. Besides my siblings and their children, there were aunts, uncles, and cousins, 27 people in total. The house smelled of pine cinnamon and my mother's famous roast turkey. Children raced through the hallways while adults gathered in the living room with eggnog and wine. During dinner, my phone buzzed with a banking notification. Curious, I checked my app under the table and noticed a series of large charges I didn't recognize. Further investigation revealed they were all the gift purchases I'd made over the past weeks, totaling $3,700. Confused, I approached my mother in the kitchen. "Mom, I think there's been a mistake with the credit card you gave me. The charges are showing up on my account." She avoided my eyes, suddenly very interested in arranging cookies on a platter. "Oh, that's strange. Let me get your father." Dad joined us, closing the kitchen door behind him. "What's the problem, Gertie? All the Christmas gifts are showing up on my credit card, not yours." "Did we use the wrong card?" Dad cleared his throat. "No mistake. We transferred the funds from your card to ours." I stared at him, not comprehending. "What do you mean transferred? You used my money for all the gifts." "We took a family vote," he said casually, as if discussing the weather. "Since you don't have kids, we figured you should cover the expenses for those who do. You can afford it with that fancy job of yours, and the rest of us have college funds to think about." The kitchen seemed to tilt sideways. "You voted without me. It just makes sense financially speaking. You're only buying for yourself while the rest of us have multiple mouths to feed." I looked past him to the dining room where my siblings avoided eye contact. They knew. They had all known. "You had no right to make that decision for me," I said, my voice shaking. Dad patted my shoulder condescendingly. "Sometimes family has to make tough calls. You'll understand when you have kids of your own." "Oh, wait," he chuckled. "You've decided not to." Right, something broke inside me at that moment. Years of comments about my biological clock and selfish lifestyle crystallized into perfect clarity. This wasn't about Christmas gifts, this was about punishing me for not living. Life on their terms, I need some air, I said, pushing past him. Out on the back porch, I scrolled through my banking history and made a horrifying discovery. Small transfers from my accounts to my parents had been happening for months. $50 here, $75 there. Looking further back, I found evidence that my father had been monitoring my finances for years, always knowing exactly how much I could afford to spend on family expenses. When I returned to the dining room, I was eerily calm. Everyone stared as I collected my coat and purse. Leaving so soon, Gertie, Dad called out, we haven't even done the gift exchange yet. I turned to face my family, the people I had trusted my entire life. I know about the transfers. Dad, I know you've been accessing my accounts without permission. His face palled slightly, but he recovered quickly. Don't be dramatic, family helps family. Shaking with a mixture of rage and betrayal, I grabbed my phone and looked him directly in the eyes. Then you'll love what comes next, Dad laughed, looking around at the others. Hear that? Everyone, Princess Gertrude is making threats now. As I walked out the door, I heard my mother call after me, but I didn't turn back. In my car, I sat for a moment, hands trembling on the steering wheel. Then I opened my laptop and began typing emails that would change everything. I drove home in a blur of tears, Christmas lights from neighborhood houses streaking across my vision like accusatory fingers. By the time I reached my apartment, however, my sadness had crystallized into something harder, sharper, and more focused. Most people don't realize how interconnected the business world really is, especially in a mid-sized city like ours. As a senior financial advisor at Preston and Holloway, I had spent years building a network of contacts, recommending reliable service providers to clients. And yes, often steering business toward my own family members. My father's construction company, Hanson Building Solutions, had received 3 major contracts in the past year alone based on my recommendations. The Lakeside Corporate Park project would have never happened without my vouching for his company's reliability to the investors. My brother Troy's architectural firm had been brought in on at least 5 projects through my client relationships. Jessica's interior design business stayed afloat, largely due to the wealthy clients I sent her way. And even Adam's new restaurant had received startup funding from one of my firm's partners. After I arranged an introduction, they had been happy to benefit from my connections while simultaneously resenting my success. The hypocrisy was breathtaking. At 11:30 that night, I called Bernard Preston, himself the founding partner of my firm, knowing he would still be awake reviewing reports. Bernard, I apologize for calling so late on Christmas Eve, but I've encountered a serious potential conflict of interest situation that I need to address immediately. He was instantly alert. What's happened, Gertrude? I've discovered some concerning financial entanglements with family members whose businesses I've recommended to our clients. I need to formally withdraw all my endorsements until this can be properly sorted out. There was a pause. This sounds serious. Should we be worried about liability? I'm preparing documentation now, I told him. I'll have everything on your desk the day after Christmas, but I wanted to alert you immediately that I'll be contacting affected clients tonight. I trust your judgment, Gertrude. You're one of our most ethical advisors. Do what you need to do. For the next 3 hours, I drafted carefully worded emails to clients who had hired my father's company. I must disclose a previously unknown conflict of interest regarding Hanson Building Solutions. While I believed my recommendation was based solely on merit, I've discovered financial irregularities that force me to withdraw my professional endorsement. Effective immediately, similar emails went out regarding Troy's firm, Jessica's design company, and Adam's restaurant. I didn't allege any specific wrongdoing. I didn't need to. In the financial world, the mere suggestion of impropriety is enough to send clients running. To each family member, I scheduled a delayed email to be sent the following afternoon explaining that their vote about Christmas gifts had professional consequences. As you've decided I should bear financial burdens without consent. I can no longer in good conscience maintain professional relationships that might be similarly compromised. I worked methodically, documenting every irregular transaction I could find, every instance where family obligations had been disguised as business opportunities. I compiled a spreadsheet of all the money that had been siphoned from my accounts without explicit permission over the years. The total made me physically ill, nearly $37,000. At 3:00 in the morning, I finally went to bed, setting my phone to do not disturb. The storm would hit soon. Enough, I woke at 10 to the sight of my notification screen filled with missed calls, texts, and voicemails. As I scrolled through them, a text from Troy appeared. What the hell? Gertrude Sinclair development just pulled out of our contract. Dad's going ballistic. Minutes later, my phone rang with a call from my father's business partner, Grant Wilson. Gertrude, I don't know what's happened between you and your father, but we just lost the Lakeside project. 3 years of work gone overnight. The investors said they received concerning information about financial practices. I'm sorry to hear that, Grant, I said evenly. Unfortunately, I've recently discovered some financial irregularities involving family accounts that made it ethically necessary for me to withdraw my professional support, but the Lakeside project is worth millions. Your father's beside himself. Perhaps he should have considered the consequences before making financial decisions on my behalf without consent. More calls followed. Jessica's largest client had canceled their contract. Adam's restaurant investor was reconsidering their commitment. Every business connection I had facilitated for my family was unraveling simultaneously. Around noon, I received an unexpected call from my mother's cousin Diane, who worked as a receptionist at my father's company. Gertrude, I'm probably risking my job by telling you this, but you should know what your parents have been saying about you. They've been telling potential partners you might date that you have mental issues and need to be handled carefully. I've heard your mother say it myself when men call for you. The revelation hit me like a physical blow. My perpetually single status suddenly made more sense. How many relationships had been sabotaged before they could begin? Why would they do that? I asked, stunned. Diane's voice lowered. From what I can gather, they worry that if you start a serious relationship, you'll prioritize your partner over family. They need your financial support too much to risk it. The pieces clicked together with sickening clarity. They weren't just taking advantage of me financially. They were actively working to keep me isolated and dependent on family for emotional support, all while criticizing me for not having children. The family that had shaped my identity, my sense of belonging, had been systematically manipulating me for years. The Christmas gift vote wasn't an isolated incident.